Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Well, the Atari Hotel brand, that licensing deal, is actually doing some effective marketing when it comes to social media and IG, guys. If you like this kind of content, this kind of video, make sure you like and subscribe. Look, you can join the channel here for outtake and pre-show stuff, or you can choose a topic on Kofi. Regardless, guys, let's talk about this deal. And let me tell you, they are going to raise a bunch of money. They're doing something that the Intellivision Amico, for example, never did effectively, which was an effective social media campaign. Now, let me tell you, it doesn't matter how you feel about this project, they will raise some money. And the purpose of this video, which is a little late, by the way, I've been meaning to make it, but this week was crazy. I had some work stuff to do, and my daughter started preschool, and they had a career day. So we had to go, to her school and watch her. It was amazing. I had a great time. But what I did, since I had that downtime, I went and, read the SEC papers. What I'm going to do here with you is, give you some pointers on questions. Some people have left comments like, why don't you go on Livestream and debate them? Guys, I don't have time. In actuality, to discuss something like this properly, it would take you like an hour and a half, right, to go point by point. But what I have done, since I don't have the time for you, I've drawn up some questions that you can ask on live stream. Now, remember, when people are on live stream and what you want to get away from, and I've fallen into this, guys, back in the day with the Amico, where it goes more into emotion, right? It becomes a high school debate, which is very entertaining, right? You're yelling at each other. You're a piece of crap, whatever, which is entertaining, but it's not informative to the public at all. And then what happens is the people that love the brand start defending the brand because they feel they're being attacked by you attacking a licensing deal or an investment opportunity like this one here. So, but if you're really talking about investments, you're talking about paperwork, you're talking about figures. When you're having discussions like that in real life, when you're talking about investments, you have to keep it calm, factual, and document based. Now, what I'm going to give you here is a list of questions. I took notes as I was reading the SEC papers of questions that you can ask in a row, if you will. If you guys are out there and you participate in one of these, if you have time, whenever they do them, I have no idea. Whenever they're trying to put this out there on live streams for people to invest or get investments or what have you, which is not illegal, by the way. There's nothing that they're doing is illegal. People sign contracts that are one-sided all the time for whatever reason, right? I'm not saying, I don't know anybody here. I don't know that they're bad people or not. What I am telling you is from what I read, in my humble opinion, and this is not financial or legal advice of any kind, okay? If you're desperate to make money on the stock market or investments or what have you, need a financial planner. If you have this kind of money to throw around, you should be doing smart things with it and have a professional help you, right? I don't know what your financial situation is. You could have just a few pennies and you're borrowing to make this investment, or you could be a billionaire, just burning money for the hell of it, So everybody has to have their own financial professional advice, right? So I recommend you do that if you're interested in investing. Now, with that said, if you want to find out more about a project such as this one, you can ask some questions that maybe you want to inform other people about. And by doing this in this structured manner that I'm going to lay out to you, you would be able to get down to the nitty gritty and answer questions that maybe people that don't know, right? Get them out of that, combat live stream crap where you're just calling each other names because, one of them is a hater, and once you label that as haters versus, fans or whatever, then it becomes a different conversation. Then people that want to defend the brand invest in order to defend the brand. Which is, let me tell you guys, this campaign that they're doing on IG on social media is very effective. Something that the Amico or any other project never did. And I believe they will raise a lot of money. Now, I believe if I remember correctly, this offering, they want to raise $40 million, and they're able to draw after $8 million. But you can ask these questions, in this way and lay it out so the person watching the live stream, right, and trying to get information on this can have the right answers and make a decision based on actual facts. And these questions come right out of the SEC papers, right, based on the paperwork. And, you can ask these questions. Now, does this investment give me ownership of Atari? Yes or no? We all know that. It's just a licensing deal, but maybe somebody watching the live stream doesn't know that, so you ask that question. Is this only a licensed brand project, or is it an Atari company project? Is Atari associated in any way with this project? Right? What happens if the investor's brand licenses is terminated? Right? Would you build the Atari hotel, but all of a sudden you lose a licensing deal? What happens then? How long is this deal for? Right? Now, they talk about registering with the SEC. One thing you can ask, okay, so you register with the SEC, are distributions guaranteed? Yes or no? Right? Are you getting any money back at any point? And escrow, right? Escrow is a word that's thrown around there. They're comfort words, Vaseline words, as known in the industry, right? But you need to ask the right questions, because if they say the money's going to be in escrow, people feel safe, which is not how this SEC filing reads. So based on that, you can say, what is the minimum raise required before funds are released? Right? What is the deadline tied to that minimum? Right? Is the refund mandatory if the minimum is not met? Right? Ask that question. Is the refund mandatory if the minimum is not met? So let's say that their minimum, say it's $8 million, right? And let's say they only get to $6 million. Are refunds mandatory then? They may not be. Right? You have to read, right? But let them say it. Let them explain it to you, right? And then you can verify that with the SEC papers. Are there rolling closings where funds get released before the full target is reached? So like I told you, I think they can release at about $8 million. They can start drawing for that money. So then you want to use, okay, well, now you have our money. Okay, how are you going to use our money? Right? What is the end goal of this money? Can investor money be used to pay legal, marketing, accounting, or offering costs? Is that where the money's going? Can investor funds reimburse insiders or prior advances? Again, that's something that happened with the board of Tommy, where they threw him out. Right? Tommy wanted to spend all the money, right? And this is just my belief, guys, based on what I've seen. Right? Tommy wanted to spend the money. The board said, no, we're going to pay ourselves first. You're spending money like a drunken sailor. When it's all said and done, you're going to spend all this money, and we're going to be left holding the bag. We want our money now. That's what happened. Right? They threw him out. Got Phil had him out there just to go be confused, and they took their money back and then some. Some crazy ass loans, right? And then they took, of course, salaries of $150,000 plus for people that, they weren't there because it was COVID and stuff like that. Okay, can investor funds reimburse insider or prior advances? So that's the question you want to ask. What percentage of early funds go to construction versus expenses? Right? Is any of this money that I raise, these millions of dollars that we're going to raise, is that going to be used for construction, or what is it going to be used for? They're going to say marketing. They always say marketing because that could be anything, right? Marketing could be, going on the live stream, right? That could be part of the salary, right? I went on 10 live streams, and that should be like $1,000 a live stream. So now you owe me 10 grand. That's not saying what's happening here, but that's what companies may do. You have to pay somebody. Nobody can be working for free, and that's not even at their choice. For example, let's say you're based out of California, right? And you have to represent your company on a live stream. You can't do that for free, right? As an employer, I don't want anybody doing that. Why? Because they can come back to me and say, hey, you didn't pay me for this. Now I'm going to sue you. You made me go on all these live streams. That's what's dangerous about these people that work at companies that go on live streams promoting their companies. All right, the company's going, oh yeah, it's just free money. It's my employees. He can do whatever he wants. Well, he can come back and claim, hey, you told me to do this. How come I didn't get paid? You don't want that kind of smoke in court, especially in California, let me tell you. So, project completion risk is the other one, right? This is a really big one because everything depends on this project, on them, obtaining financing for construction. Is full construction financing already secured? Yes or no? Right? If the answer is no, you can say anything. Right? You can literally say anything. Because once you get that loan, it might have some contingencies. It's going to say you can do this, but not that, right? They're going to look over your plans. And based on those plans, they might say yes or no. And if you're making all these kind of ridiculous things like, oh, I'm going to be delivering this, or I'm going to open this up and that up, and the bank says, wait a minute, that's too much liability. If you do that, I don't think you're going to be able to finish a project, and you're not going to pay me. So no, I'm not going to give you this loan, right? What you're building has to make sense in order for us to release funds. Has a lender, any lender, whatever it may be, that's going to finance this project, have they issued a binding letter of commitment, right? Meaning that the bank said, yes, we're going to lend you this money on this project. This is our letter, right? That's your guarantee, right, quote unquote, that you're going to get this money for construction. Because if this money for construction is not secured by the company, nothing else is happening. All this investment money goes up in smoke because you can't make anything, right? And you already spent all the money on marketing, accountants, everybody's salary. They're not going to give you that money back. How can they take paychecks back from people that they have to pay by law? You can't do that. You can't do that, right? They're not going to mortgage their homes in order to pay you back. That's idiotic. The whole point of this is to have you holding the bag for this, alternative financing so they don't have to incur that risk. Right? That's really it. If financing fails, what happens to the investor money that's already spent? That's a question you want to ask, right? If you're not able to get money from the bank, how are you going to pay me back, basically? That's really the question. Now, guys, there's always propositions like these. Always, for whatever reason, everybody comes up with these kind of opportunities. I'm not saying they're all bad. Some people might have the best intentions, but when you put these packages together, you have to make sure that you protect yourself, right? I'm not going to organize a whole investment opportunity where I'm holding the bag at the end, and if stuff goes south, I have to sell my house in order to pay everybody back. Nobody wants to do that. That's why these deals are structured the way they are. All the risk is on you. So I'm just giving you questions that you can ask on Livestream that are relevant to the SEC filing, right? You can go read the SEC filing and look at your risk there. The whole Reg A part of it is not to protect you, it's to inform you so you can make an informed decision when you're making an investment. Now, you may have buku bucks, who cares? And let me tell you, this campaign that they're doing on social media is very effective. It says jump in now before it rises. The price increase ahead. That's pretty effective. That's pretty effective marketing, and it's targeted marketing because they market to the people they know are going to invest. Who are they? Gen Xers, empty nesters that are just sitting around. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Why not? I got $500. What am I going to do with it? Go to a casino and blow it? All their kids are grown. So $500 at a time makes sense for raising a small amount. You can save $40 million, but if you just raise, I don't know, $10 million, are you still okay with that? Yeah, that'll give you a couple of years of salaries, at least 3 years, in order to put this together to start construction, and you may be able to finish the project. But remember the card that I showed you before, that investors are at the very bottom. As an investor, you're the last one to get paid, if you get paid at all. And if anything collapses at the top, whether it's, securing permits, marketing, legal, whatever. If you don't get that financing from the bank, it's all done. It's all over. Everything has to happen exactly right. They have to hit it right on, the nail right on the head in order for you to get paid. And what that payment is, you have to look up on the contract. Let me tell you, reading this stuff is not easy. That's why people get paid a lot of money. But hopefully I gave you some pointers of where to look, what questions to ask, so you can be better informed whether you want to participate in this or not. There's always going to be fanboys. They're going to raise a lot of money because people hear Atari, and they're going to want to, invest in, more power to them, whatever their financial planner tells them to do. But before you spend $1, you want to make sure, right? You want to make sure that you are informed. That's the whole point of Reg A. It's not to guarantee your money. It's to actually tell you, hey, you're 100% at risk. All right, guys. Listen, thank you for joining me so much. If you want to pick a topic, you can go to Kofi. If you want to join the channel and watch all the pre-show stuff, some of the prep, inside stuff, you can go there. Now, this coming week, more preschool. I'm having fun. All right, humans, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.